I'm Gareth Van Sale for Gulf Business, and we've got an interesting guest with us here at LEAP 2025 from ROSHN Group.
Yeah.
Pablo, can you please introduce yourself to our audience?
Yeah, my name is Pablo. I'm Executive Director of Digital Products for ROSHN. And what that means basically is that I take care of building digital experiences on top of the physical products that ROSHN has. So trying to connect all of them from the assets that we have, like in ROSHN Front, to the communities and including also the sales on the funnel.
And what are you doing here at LEAP 2025? Because we know that ROSHN is this big property company.
Yeah.
Interesting that you're here.
So we are exploring new technologies. We signed also a couple of MOUs in the process, and we are going to be speaking in a couple of panels. One of them with our partners in Google about how we are implementing AI across the organization and how we are building agentic workflows. And then another panel about sustainability and mobility in Russian communities, along other panelists.
Can you tell us more about the Google tie-up?
So we have been playing for a long time with AI technology and see how we'll fit our ecosystem. And we have been developing some prototypes and things that are already in production little by little, even running some internal hackathons with it, so getting our hands dirty with it. And we will be presenting 7-8 use cases, from customer support to troubleshooting for the developers, to how to create content in an automatic way that is SEO friendly tomorrow on the Google booth. I think it's around 1 p.m. So yeah.
And within a group like ROSHN, why is it so important to have such a big digital focus, especially in an area where you're delivering a lot of residential properties?
So I do think also the Saudi market invites to this. There are tools that allows you to identify yourself as a unique person and buy your property sitting in your couch. So last year, for instance, we have around 120 sales that were totally digital. That person never came to our sales center. And then we digitized the full process, right? To more than 1,800 people. We saved them at least a trip to the sales center because they could finish the transaction from home, right? So we have been playing a little bit with those numbers, and we saved 300,000 kilometers to that people when they try to buy a home, because they didn't have to visit it multiple times. They could finish from home with all the sustainability also behind it, like saving CO2 emissions and so on when that happens, right? So it's a cool story, and it's probably only possible in Saudi because the tools that we have in order to acquire the home digitally.
So just say that number for me again, because that is a very interesting fact that you mentioned there. 120 homes last year
were sold digitally.
Sold digitally. So the buyers went onto your app and they saw
went
the property.
Into our websites or microsites that we have. They visited the experience. They checked the master plans. They did a 3D walk inside of the home, and then they took a decision on their own of which home did they want it, and then they pay a deposit for the home, and then they sign a SPA with us, all sitting at home, being able to check potentially with your wife or your kids if they think that it's a good idea to live in one of these Russian communities.
And are these existing properties or are they off-plan?
They are off-plan.
Off-plan.
Yeah.
And the buyers are happy. I presume that
I do think that there is parts of word of mouth. There is parts of convenience. We have an anecdote from one of our colleagues, which cousin was in Dubai, and he knows of the quality and the type of residence that we are building, and he didn't need to give a power of attorney to anyone. He didn't need to fly back, so he could execute from home, right? So that's an anecdote also. But the core part, I think, is those 1,800, 2,000 homes that we managed to sell assistedly with our sales advisors, right? That's the majority still, and I do think that will always be the majority, but we give them tools to be able to explore at their own pace and check. So I think we make it convenient in that sense.
And what are the pros and cons of digitizing a property company in a market like Saudi Arabia?
I personally don't see any con, but I do see a learning path both on the customers on our side, right? We have been fine-tuning our journey to make it more customer-centric. And there are things that we have been finding out with time, right? You might start with an hypothesis that it can be fully digital and go all in, but there is a human touch when you are buying something of this caliber that plays a part also, right? So having that connection with your sales advisor, but being able to communicate digitally and conveniently, if you marry both parts, I do think that it makes a very unique experience. Phygital or whatever you want to call it, but combining both worlds, right? The human touch with the new tools that are coming, doing it remotely, assisted by AI, everything will be coming, but always I do think that will be a human touch at the center of it.
And just as a last question, how important is artificial intelligence in this? You've mentioned the phrase AI quite a few times, but is it fundamentally changing how ROSHN Group is approaching its digitalization strategy?
I do believe that from an internal perspective, definitely it is changing how we do things, how we automate things, how we speed up things, how we solve customer problems much faster and easier. From a customer perspective, from a user perspective that comes to purchase, we are still trying to find if it's going to make a difference. I do personally believe that in the discovery phase, it might make a difference in how you search or how you check things or how you get recommended things. But there is this UI and interface piece of buying your home that I don't think can be fully replaced. But yeah, we will be playing and doing experiments and A/B testing it constantly to see how we add value to our customers in that sense.
Great. Pablo, thank you so much for joining us
on
the podcast today.
Thank you.